My grandfather used to say, the only thing that's wrong with Mexico is that it's run by Mexicans. Welcome to Azimuth Podcast. I'm Barrett McNabb, and always with me is my beautiful wife, Kimberly McNabb. Now, let me go ahead and preface this. My grandfather was married to a South American Latina woman, so he was not talking about race. He was talking about the unique corruption that Mexican officials have and the relationship to the drug cartels. Okay. So, over the weekend, Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obidar said during a 60 Minutes interview that the surge of migrants crossing into the United States will continue unless President Biden and his administration comply with his demands. And Obidar has called on the U.S. to send $20 billion a year to Latin American countries.
Is he the Mexican president or all of Latin America?
Yeah, it seems like he's grabbing the whole southern hemisphere for himself to be their negotiator. He's saying that we need to lift sanctions on communist Venezuela. And he is wanting the embargo of Cuba to be lifted, again, another communist country. And he wants to grant work visas for 10 million Hispanics. So what that's going to do is drive more people to do migration.
Yeah, because they're going to be like, hey, I'm going to get legalized.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I can send home remittances.
Well, it's funny you said that because he also wants to legalize millions of Hispanics who have worked and lived in the United States for at least the past decade. So that's going to be amnesty. And Mexican officials said complying would help the U.S. show it really wanted to address the root causes of migration.
No, I would say it's because Biden is weak. I mean, $20 billion a year won't cure his weakness.
No.
But it would just propel the cartels. I mean, come on, you put more sugar on the table, ants are going to come.
Right. I mean, under the Trump administration, we had the most the most secure border that has ever happened, and it was without paying $20 billion a year to South America.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that money would be better spent on a wall. And remind Mexico that the trade deficit in 2022 was $131 billion. So I think it's a little unwise to push your major trade partner around. I mean, like someone who's already importing more of your stuff, like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
don't insult the customer.
The trade balance is definitely uneven. Mexico is benefiting much better than the United States is on trade. And so I would think that he would want to be more participatory in having, a pleased northern neighbor of which he benefits on trade.
Yeah, I mean, because President Biden could do tariffs or something to, not allow that anymore. But, I just don't think he's interested, whether we pay or not, he's not interested in helping the United States with migration because it benefits Mexico.
Right.
I mean, per NPR in 2021, there were $50 billion in remittances to Mexico. I would say that's you're benefiting from migration. Also, per News Nation, smugglers in Mexico made at least $6 billion in 2021. Migrants spend more money, they spend money coming through, because they don't just land in Mexico and, it's a full package guarantee that the cartels are going to send you across the border. I mean, you got to pay for housing, you got to pay for food. These little villages that they pass through sell maps. So it is pumping money into the local economy. And if the cartels have more money to spend, well, then they're going to buy stuff in the community as well. So,
right. So, I mean, all the taxes and things like that. So it's not like migrants show up at the U.S. border.
And they just walk through and never
magically
touch anything.
Appearing, a half a mile from the Mexico-U.S. border. They're going through the south of Mexico and through the entirety of Mexico.
Yeah, they're buying bus passes and documents and whatnot. So they're spending money in the economy. Also, he personally benefits from drug money. Yeah, The Hill reports that ProPublica, Insight Crime, and Deutsche Welle looked into previous allegations that the president's aides got millions from drug cartels in 2006 for a promise of lax law enforcement if elected. But before losing his second election in 2011, and after U.S. officials in Mexico were informed, all of a sudden an investigation was pulled.
Magic.
So the president, yeah, he's upset that these reports are there since they're sourced to U.S. officials. And accusations of bribery probably explains why he wants $20 billion a year for his poor hurt feelings.
Yeah, I mean, this just has wrong written all over it. So he's advocating for socialist and communist countries that oppress their citizens to have embargoes lifted. You have, money going to pay people to stay there. And if you think that money is going to go directly to the people to keep them there, you are sadly mistaken. That's going to go into government palms. It's going to go into the palms of officials, and they're going to be able to retire on a Swiss bank account.
I promise you, my immigration would not go down.
Yeah, it wouldn't go down.
One person.
It wouldn't go down.
Not a chance.
Because, I mean, as I said earlier, under the Trump administration, we had the most secure border without paying $20 billion a year. So why would $20 billion a year fix it? It wouldn't. I mean, really, it would be borrowing money, which the United States government does because of the deficit, borrowing money and then giving that money to South America.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, that is just, I can't even describe how stupid this would be. And what guarantees does the Mexican president say that is going to happen? I mean,
you're going to give us a number like, okay, I will put it in writing that it's going to be 20% less than it was in 2022 or 2023. Like,
I mean, how would you do that?
I'm sure they'd find a way to fudge those numbers anyway.
I mean, he had a big complaint saying that he would not accept illegal immigrants back from Texas due to the SB4. And so he's like, look, the border's going to be closed and we're not going to take these people back because this would disrupt things. But they were just in Mexico and they got there at the south and walked or rode buses all the way through the country. So
there are these things called parachutes.
Yeah. I mean,
airdrop.
I just, I'm just sad that it has come to this, where the Mexican president is dictating or attempting to dictate U.S. policy.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you're weak and you have no authority, guess what? Inmates are going to run to the asylum.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, we saw this and it kind of outraged us. It made us, scratch our head, but also just talk about how ridiculous this is.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to bring this to your attention. So thank you so much for tuning in to Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.